What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Second Cup.
Where you get your second cup
my gosh.
after your first. I'm Andrew.
I'm Shawn.
And we're still working on our tagline.
Yeah.
Tagline.
Our tagline?
Tagline.
Today, I'm not kidding when I say, so we have like a shared calendar with our whole work squad and our nanny and my family, and like everybody gets to see what we do. And we have had so many guests on our show. And it comes up on our like shared calendar who we're interviewing. And we had more people freak out over this couple than any other person we've had on the show.
We're talking about Cost and Mayer. And if you haven't heard or seen of them, then you're welcome in advance because
Go look them up.
they're fantastic. And they're even more likable in person, which
they're
is
so
saying
nice.
a lot.
I want to be their friend. I think we're friends now.
And it turns out that Cost and Mayer is not their real name.
No.
It's Austin Meredith. And we spent the whole day with them on Thursday.
Yes?
And I want to spend more days with them because we had a
Me
great
too.
time.
I think we might have hooked them a little bit to Nashville.
Yeah, we're trying. Shawn tries to get everybody to move to Nashville.
Everyone.
And I think she might have succeeded with Austin and Meredith. But Austin
Who?
and Meredith.
Did you
Austin
say-
and Meredith.
I think you said Austin Mayer.
No. This is
Yeah.
an impressive couple. So
Yes.
they also do a lot.
So much.
They make amazing videos for the internet. They teach dance classes. They're choreographing their first musical.
Which is incredible.
It's Waitress.
To hear their whole process about it, just wait till you hear this, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it.
They have a card game.
Yes.
And we're big fans. So we'll link their information down below
Yes.
if you want to look up their videos. And we hope you really enjoy this episode. We talk about creativity. We talk about how they met. We talk about why dance, like how dance differs from athletics.
Also, if you're looking for a choreographer, if you are within the production industry and need someone, please reach out to them because they are just the best. The absolute best.
We think you'll like them as well. Without further ado, Cost and Mayer.
Thank you guys so much for flying in. Oh my God.
We're
For
so
being in
pumped.
Nashville.
I love Nashville.
I love
I
Nashville.
love
it.
Nashville.
We're going to get you to move here at some point.
Okay, done.
We're going to get you to do the dancing class tomorrow.
Yeah.
I will
No.
only move here if you come take a dance class.
Okay.
Whoa,
was
we're in. That's all I know.
Okay, have a great
That
rest
was-
of your day, guys.
And I guess we're done.
There you
Yeah.
go. Wow,
And we'll
that's
go
great.
house shopping next. No joke. I would love to get back into dancing, but I have a paralyzing fear of it.
I understand that. Dancing is a really scary thing for no reason. Like at the end, like people take it super seriously and make
So
it so
seriously.
crazy.
No.
And then I'm just like, what are we doing? Noodling around? Like we're just noodling around in a room.
Yeah.
Real
Yeah.
crazy
That's
stuff.
all
I know,
dance
but I
is
understand. It seems
Mhm.
very intimidating.
It is.
We could dance in a very safe environment with
Yeah.
no one there.
Okay.
First,
Okay.
make sure you
And
feel
then-
comfy.
Yeah.
Work our way in.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited because we're gonna do some videos together after this.
We
The
are.
podcast is gonna be one component. I hope you guys are keyed
Yeah.
in on this.
Absolutely.
But
Had no
maybe we'll
clue.
get Shawn to dance after this. Here's the thing. I will say, I am the
Need
outsider here because
a drink.
you two are the pros. I feel like you're literally savants when it comes to dancing.
That's a great word.
You have.
That's a good
Thank you.
word.
I it was came up with it on the fly. I got a little nervous.
no, it was good.
Shawn has dancing skills.
No.
But from an
Many.
outsider's
No.
perspective, there's a lot of components that go into dancing, which I think make it intimidating. You have like the rhythmic part of it, which does not come naturally to everybody. There's a good amount of practice that goes into it. You have the physical aspect of it. Then you have the style aspect. Like there's so much that goes into making a dance look cool. I'm probably missing. What does make a dance look cool? Let's start there.
Ooh.
I wish I knew.
Yeah, I guess if we knew that, we would be like killing it 24/7.
You are killing
You
it,
are.
by the way. Are you serious?
That's
Are you
kind of
serious?
we make a lot of bad things. You have to make bad things.
Got to weed out the bad stuff to
Yeah,
get to the good
you
stuff.
do. I don't know what makes a dance cool. I just try to have fun.
Really?
I think that's what
Makes
the
it cool.
yeah, the majority of, at least for us, like the majority of our channel is about. It's like not worrying about what is like deemed cool,
Yeah.
but like what do we have fun doing and what do we think that people are going to enjoy watching. I think that's what kind of
And we hate
Is
when
the
dance
cool.
feels super serious. Like
Yeah.
you're saying, like we try our hardest to make dance fun and not so intimidating and intense.
Yeah.
I do think that sometimes it comes across like that in a lot of different environments, like especially people that have trained to dance their whole lives in like the professional industry, and it's all very like
Yeah.
intense.
That's also something
But
we
it's
try to
really-
put into like when we, because now we're on the other side of auditions where we used to be auditioning and now we're holding the auditions. And so we're like teaching choreography, and that's one thing that we like strive to do is not make like auditions so scary and intimidating, because
we're goofballs.
we are goofballs.
And we like to have fun and
Yeah.
make sure everyone else has fun.
Yeah.
We're like the lowest stakes people of all time ever.
What do you look for in auditions?
Like in a dancer,
Yeah.
commitment. And whether or not it's correct or incorrect, like being so sure of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like being like, I'm, you know what I don't even know how to explain that.
It's just like whatever we're trying to get you to portray,
Yeah.
like just commit to it. Whatever it is, like even if it's something outlandish, I don't know, it's just, we always say like commit to the bit, whatever it is.
You can really tell the maturity of a performer, like not by the amount of steps they're doing right, but about how they're carrying themselves. It's so much more about like the confidence than the accuracy. I mean, obviously you're looking for accuracy
You want it
too,
to be clean.
but I'd rather have someone super committed to like whatever character we're sort of
Going for.
inviting them
Like,
into.
So I want to talk more about that word because I'm interested. Like fully bought in. You mean like just like assuming the character they're supposed to be playing? Is that what you mean by commitment, or like they show up early and they leave late type of commitment?
Oh, I guess both. Most
Both, but-
dancers are very like etiquette driven, so we
Really?
don't usually
Disciplined,
have
yeah.
we don't usually have trouble with like
No.
lateness or anything like that.
Okay.
But
But the actual like logistical character, like in a show or
yeah, if I
a
tell you
music
that
video,
we're
like
like,
whatever the character is or the vibe or whatever we're trying to portray.
because we do a lot of humor in our storytelling and choreography, and so it requires a lot of like, you really have to commit to this,
Yeah.
or it's gonna look silly.
Yeah.
It is silly, but if you're not fully engaged with like whatever crazy thing we've told
Yeah.
you to do, it just doesn't land.
Let yourself be silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, let's go back to how did you guys start? Well, first, how long have you been dancing? How did you get into dance? But most people know you from social media. You are crushing on social media.
That's very nice.
And you've kind of captivated this space of dance that is relatable and fun and quirky, and people are so drawn to it. How did this become your shtick that you are continuing to do with like TikTok and Instagram?
I started when I was about 9 years old. I was prior to that playing like t-ball and baseball because my dad was the coach. And so I just grew up like kind of just falling in line to what he was doing and thinking that's what I had to do. And there was one like baseball tryout that we got to one morning, and we showed up and I just like started bawling. I was like crying my eyes out. And he's like, "What is wrong with you?" And I was like so afraid to tell him that I didn't want to play baseball anymore. But I finally told him, and he was like, "It's fine. Like, relax." So then we got through that, but then like I didn't have anything to do, and I was just kind of like sitting around the house and like getting on my mom's nerves, and she was like, "All right, you need to find something to do." And so she signed me up for this dance class. It was like a triple threats class, so like singing, dancing, acting, like all in one. And I had like didn't want any part of it, and I still ended up going. And then I walked out of class, and I asked to sign up for like all the other classes that they had. It was
that's
so
awesome.
fun.
And now he's a triple threat.
And
so-
now I do it all. That's a lie. That's a lie. But yeah, that's how I started.
Which is funny that they put you in a triple threats class because no one in your family does theater
one,
or
yeah.
like
I was gonna say, like-
performance or anything.
Thinking about even my kids, like where did this stem from?
no
Nowhere.
idea.
They were like,
No
I
His
saw
mom's
this.
an artist,
Like an
but
art teacher.
not like a performer.
No.
I have no
But like
idea.
very sports like family. My dad coached baseball, coached basketball at one point. Mom played field hockey. My little sister
Okay.
plays field hockey. My brother played all sports.
I gotta ask your mom about that.
Everybody played some kind of sport.
Cindy, why?
Cindy, why?
Cindy,
I gotta
where did
know.
you see that ad in the paper?
Yeah.
There's
You just
also
picked that?
there's also some crossover. I think it was I started taking the dance class, and then she also had me audition for like the community show.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Probably
I
just
was
her friend. Like you have a lot of family
well,
friends
she was
that
friends
work in
with Biddle,
theater. Yeah,
which was the theater
that's
director.
probably why.
So there's
Good thing
something.
we figured
There's some
that out.
crossover in there.
I will say, like, as parents to kids, you're always desperate to just try something.
Uh huh.
But when you find something for a kid that clicks, that's like gold.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it worked out.
Write that down.
What about you, Meredith?
I started dancing when I was 14, which is like super late to start dancing
very.
or doing anything.
Yeah.
Which is, I just have such an odd relationship with dance in general. I was a sports kid. I played soccer for like 10 years. But I was always really fascinated with dancing. Like I just loved performance and like watching shows. And I was always really interested in it. And I was just like, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. So people would be like, what are you going to do when you grow up? And I'd be like, I'm going to be a dancer. And they'd be like, oh, sweet. Do you take classes? And I'd be like, nope. Sure don't. And so then I was like, I should probably start training.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this as my career. And then I did.
And here we are. But
And here we are.
it all worked out.
What was
Yeah,
your
it
first
did.
class you took?
We both have really kind of non-traditional training backgrounds. We didn't do like, typically you go into a studio and you're doing ballet, tap, and jazz and the whole nine. And when I was 14, I auditioned for like a exclusively like hip hop team. We competed in more of like a
So
cruise
exclusive.
style circuit.
She was
so
in a
cool.
crew.
Yeah, like, so fierce and cool. But no, we did like, we learned, our classes were like whacking, popping, breaking. Like we did like
Like
hip
the
hop
foundational,
which is like
yeah.
really rare training. And I'm super glad that I have it. I
Yeah.
didn't know at the time how valuable that would be to my life. But that was really amazing training. And then I got into musical theater later because I just love the storytelling of it. I just
I
love
was
it.
gonna
It's
say
so
our
fun.
upbringings were kind of like
Swapped.
Like I started with musical theater and then
And then
kind of
went
got
to
into
hip-hop.
like the foundational hip hop, and that's how it kind of switched there. Which
But not
is
a lot of people
interesting,
have that
but
training. But
yeah.
that's why when we choreograph now, we can talk to each other in sort of the same language because we have the same training in a really weird way.
I mean
that not a lot of
that
other people
kind of leads
have.
into like how we started doing choreography together, like
Yeah.
during COVID.
Do we move on to that?
Let's do it.
let's
Yeah, I
do
like
it.
it.
Are we allowed
Thank
to
you.
move
Are we allowed to
on?
move on to that?
Yes.
Well, we met on a dance job when we were
Yeah.
living in New York. Am I skipping chapters?
No, please.
Okay, sure. We met doing a dance job in New York. And it was a super crazy dance job. It was for Six Flags.
Wow.
Fierce.
Yes.
And we were dancing zombies, like party zombies.
Painted
they would
head to
paint,
toe.
they would airbrush
Yes.
us head to toe every night.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
Yeah,
can pull
we
up a
gotta find
photo.
you a photo.
Yeah.
Wow.
But we did that job together. That was honestly like the most fun maybe I've ever had.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
And we didn't date during that job because we
We were
are
professionals.
professionals.
Yes.
And we would never have a showmance. And we, so when we got back to the city, we started dating a few months after that. We would just like run into each other at like classes and auditions and stuff because we were auditioning for a lot of the same stuff because we
Right.
had a lot of the same training.
Yeah.
And so we'd run into each other all the time. And I
It
was
was like
actually,
February 2020.
yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
And then
bad things are about to happen.
bad things are about to
So we
happen.
dated for like a month and then COVID happened. And then I was like, we should go just wait this out because everything in New York closed.
Yeah.
And I was super scared of getting stuck in my 17
Shoebox
square foot apartment on 181st
Yeah.
Street. So I
Oh,
was like, we
man.
should leave. And so we did leave. And I said, let's go hang out with my parents for 2 weeks. And that
turned into
turned
a year
into
and a half.
a year and a half of
North
being
Carolina?
with my parents in North Carolina.
Both of you.
Dating.
Both
Both
of
of
us.
us.
Yep.
Dating
1
for
month
only a
into
month.
dating.
What, bro?
Moving in.
Shut up.
Well, I only thought it was going to be 2 weeks, but it turned out to be moving in with her and her parents in her hometown
Year and a half.
Wow.
for a year and a half.
Straight up. Crazy.
Wow.
Like
And then
your COVID romance is actually adorable now and wild. How that works out.
Wild.
Yeah.
It's also, our whole relationship has been wild because we met on a job. So we were living together.
Like,
Like
the
the whole
entire
cast
cast
was
was living
together,
together.
living on the job.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then we dated for a few months in the city where we were living in our separate apartments. But then we just like immediately went back to like, we've
Living
almost
together.
never not lived together since we met.
Wow.
So
the
weird.
whole like, I found you guys during COVID, which makes sense. So I basically got to watch your entire dating.
Yes. We've,
marriage.
we've all
Pretty
been
much.
there.
So excited.
Yeah.
Dang.
We've all been there since the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And then how long before you got married?
It was October 2021.
2021.
We got married.
Wow.
Dang.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Wouldn't recommend it, but worked out great for us.
I say, if you can make it through COVID dating, like
Yeah.
newly, you guys are good. You're good.
It was hard though.
It
That's
was-
also
it
when
was
like
tough, yeah.
Costumier was born and it
Yeah.
was A lot happening.
A lot happening.
Where did Costume Mare originate?
Like the name.
Yeah.
You can tell it.
When we were living in New York,
Yeah.
still dating, hanging out. It was a
Gray
gray
area.
Gray area. We would hang out in the park, like playing cards,
Okay.
because we're like 90 years old.
Yeah.
That's what we
Love
did for
that.
What
fun.
card games?
We played a lot of rummy back then.
Nice.
We played a lot of rummy.
Back then.
We play a game called 23.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
No one knows
23,
that
a lot of
one.
rummy,
We
I
love
know.
cards.
Oh.
We're old people and play cards.
Okay,
so,
great.
Yeah.
Spades, yeah.
Spades.
Lot of
Okay.
spades.
Okay.
We can
Okay.
teach you 23.
Okay.
So 23 is
It's a
fun
one.
and easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we would we
were
would
probably
keep
playing
score.
Rummy.
Yeah, we were probably playing Rummy. But we'd keep score on our phone. And so one day one of us pulled out our phone and said, "Hey Siri, make a note that says Aust and Mayor," because
Austin
that's what
and
we
Mayor.
called each other for short.
But the closest real words that Siri can detect are
Or
cost
cost
and
and-
mayor. So that note always said cost and mayor.
With like all of our
Cute.
scores down.
So then when we were bored and we were going to make, that was also when like
Remember
Finstas were a
Finstas?
thing.
Fences?
No, I remember. No.
Somebody
Yeah,
knows.
you guys
No.
are way.
Finstas.
You know Finstas?
What is
Okay.
a Finsta?
Finsta's like a spam account. It's like
Yeah.
a fake Insta where only
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like private,
yeah, yeah.
only
Yeah.
your friends follow it.
Yeah.
That was like when Finstas were hot. And so we were like, we
What if
should
we made
make
a
a Finsta called Cost and Mayor. And then we didn't. We made a TikTok because that was also when TikTok was on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
And that was also supposed to be a spam account. And now it's like our entire registered S Corp brand.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
we got stuck with it forever. People actually told us to drop the name
Mm-hmm.
a lot when it was getting big. And we were like, no, it's funny.
No, it's
We like it.
everyone
They were like,
knows
no
you
one's
as
going to get
Costume
it.
Mare.
And we were like, so?
We were walking in today for this interview, and I think 3 of us.
We're like,
Well, our
what do we call them?
nanny saw on our schedule, like interview with, because like it's always on our shared schedule, and she's like, "Are you serious? Cost and Mare are coming in?" I was like,
so
"Yeah."
nice.
And 2 other girls were like, "Cost and Mare? Are you serious?"
Cute.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you guys are by far the favorite that has come in so far.
wow.
Yes.
Don't tell us that.
I know, it'll go straight to my head.
There's not enough room in the.
I'll brag for the rest of the day.
I have thoughts because you said at 9, which I think is really early for this to happen. You experiencing like this is not something I want to do, T-ball, but finding like a home for your expression in musical theater. I was thinking about I did football and I loved it in college. I really felt like I belonged there. In the pros though, it was like I felt like an alien and I couldn't even like look people in the eye because I was like, I don't think they belong here, or they don't think I belong, and I don't feel like I belong. And that feeling of the term expression comes to mind, and I feel like that's used a lot in dance. But at 9, for that to happen, that's pretty amazing. Do you still feel like this is like your home as far as where you're able to fully express yourself?
I do. I think it's changed from like being 9 years old and
Yeah.
like growing up. When I was in 2017 is when I moved to New York to like actually pursue dance like professionally.
At what age?
That's math.
Quick
Shawn.
math.
I don't do that. That is one thing I don't do. I was probably like
21.
21.
Okay.
Probably
Wow.
21, 22. And at that time, I was like, I just want to be a performer. Like,
Yeah.
I just would rather be given the choreography and I'll do it how you want me to do it. But then when we started working together is when I learned that being the like creative and like choreographing our own stuff and coming up with our own stories and concepts to like portray to the world was where I like, and then seeing it come to life was so cool to me. And so that's when I kind of flipped and said that, you know, I can like, this is still expression through dance. It's just like not me actually doing the choreography, and it doesn't have to be me doing the choreography. Like we can put together these big concepts and videos and whatever we want and have other people do them, but it's still a vision that we came up with. And I think that was like such a cool thing to kind of figure out too, like where I don't have to be the one dancing, but I'm still dancing. You know what I mean?
I can sort of understand what you mean by the feeling out of place thing. I think when I moved to New York and I was just like I was pursuing musical theater and like more commercial dance at the time, but I was booking more commercial. And so I would go to commercial auditions, and I mean, I would book specific commercial things with like my mentors that I really clicked with. When it came to auditioning commercial, I was so frustrated because every massive like agents, it feels like the industry, especially at that time, was very like gate kept by like you had to have an agent. And so I would go to these massive like 700 person agency calls and you would always have to do like stilettos choreo and everybody would show up in their like hot outfits with their like 4-inch heels and you have to do that.
Yeah.
And I am not good at that. But I'm good at a lot of other things. But that is just what you have to do to book the other things.
Interesting.
So interesting.
Yeah.
It also makes no sense.
Yeah.
But I was so frustrated and I would show up at those auditions in my stilettos and in my hot outfit ready to go. And I remember at one of the last auditions I went to, because I would never book them because that's not my strong suit. That's not like my specialty as a dancer. And so I remember at my last audition standing in like a holding room of like 1 trillion people that looked exactly like me, wearing the exact same thing as me. And I was like, you know, even if I did book this, if I go in there and smash it and book it, I'm going to book all of the wrong gigs because I hate this and it's not me. And so if I go in there and convince them that I'm good at this, I'm not going to have a fun career because if I'm booking things like this, I'm not going to like it.
Right.
And so that's why I really wanted to, honestly, figuring out how to do our own choreography was like almost a necessity, especially for me, because I didn't want to do that. And so I was like, I'm going to have to make stuff up that I know looks good on
So you
us.
wanted to be like
really-
on the creative side and like the
Because I was
director,
like,
choreographer side.
I'm going to have to make it up myself because no one's given me stuff that I can look good doing. So I'm going to have to make it up and look good doing it. Because I can't keep these stilettos on. My feet are bleeding. And that's that.
That sounds miserable.
I will say I am a consumer of all things dance. Love watching it. Every aspect of every type. And I will say that is something that I think makes you guys so successful at what you do. So you make it look fun and you make it look relatable and you make it look not intimidating. Even if you try it, it's like, oh wow. I can't do this. But there is like that difference of relatability factor of it just looks approachable and human and fun,
I'm glad.
but it's still dance.
That's the goal.
That
And
is
I
the
mean,
goal.
and stiletto, don't get me wrong, stiletto choreo is great. And I also, there's part of me that loves the intensity of dance. I think if you were like,
For sure.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure you get that in gymnastics too. Like there's something about you that like kind of lives for it sometimes, but I also think that it makes it inaccessible to a lot of people.
There
and
can be a space where it
there's
doesn't have to be so intimidating.
There can be balance.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have people watching the stiletto choreography and being like, I could never.
Yeah.
Myself included. But then,
Same.
yeah, it's a different category.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, there's certain things you have to do to reach a certain level, I feel like. But delineating between that and what maybe is just like a stylistic thing that is not what you're supposed to be pursuing is super hard, I feel like. And for you to have the discipline to be like, hey, I'm not going to do any more of these stiletto dances, but that doesn't mean I need to walk away from the whole industry entirely, you know? Maybe I tend to get more discouraged of like, dang, if this is what I have to do to be a professional dancer, then I'll just like I'll do
find
something else.
And I think that happens to a lot of
Yeah.
people, which is why I was so adamant, because I was like, I can't be the only person that doesn't want to do this style. Like there has to be a workaround of people that aren't just this one type of dancer. And also, if this is the way you audition to get into these agencies, are we going to have rosters full of people that can only all do the one same thing? Like there has to be a space for people that don't do this one style.
Well, it's again, from an outsider's perspective, with football, it's like there's a very clear path of, okay, to get to the pros, you need to play high level college. To get to college, you need to play high school and go through the recruiting process. There's all these camps. It's like one avenue, you know, and there's one destination. That's the NFL. What are the, like, how do you become a professional dancer? I feel like it's, you have all these little studios that you can go to, and I don't know, I guess the cream rises to the top maybe, and then you end up as a rockette, or what's the
Poof. Okay.
I wish. I don't even know, how do you do it?
There's a lot of different paths. And it's interesting. I think that we're such a testament to that because like I went to college for dance. Austin didn't. Austin booked an agent. I never had an agent. We ended up on the same job at the same time. And we got there two completely different ways. I did a program in New York. You didn't do a program in New York. Like we took very different paths and landed in the same place. And so there are a lot of different ways to do it. I also think that like now that social media is a thing, that has really switched things up for the dance industry because now half the things that we book these days are because people find our socials and they're like, we love this. Yeah. Will you come on tour with us? Will you choreograph this musical? Will you do our music video? Like now we just do it all of ourselves, really.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's wild that social media is truly like a resume these days.
Completely.
Like, here, just look at this.
Which is also terrifying because now then it makes you overthink everything you post. And then I'm like, I have to remind myself, like, people love it because it's silly. Sometimes I'm like, if a producer sees this, I'm going to die.
Who's more the perfectionist between you two?
I was going to say, I already got that vibe.
So me. I'm insane. I'm insane.
I will say my favorite videos you guys ever post are the bloopers.
Yeah. Because you can tell I'm insane.
I love that.
You just love to laugh at my expense.
It just makes me feel seen because that's myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
What has been your like biggest pinch me moment yet since literally originating and starting Costumier in 3-4 years ago? Guys, that's fast. That's a fast like explosion of life.
Crazy.
You
also, we
decided
never
to-
really meant to be choreographers. We never really meant to do
And
this.
set out to do this thing. Yeah.
But it rocks.
You threw a marriage in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meh.
Yeah.
Throw it in there.
Sprinkle it
Yeah.
on
It was
top.
close proximity. It made sense.
Yeah.
I was a massive Pentatonics fan growing up. Huge.
Same.
Nerd.
Still am.
Pentatonics. Still am.
Still am.
Honestly, more now that we
Right.
know them so well.
Yeah.
But so funny. Me and my best friend growing up were massively into Pentatonics. So into it. Went to see their shows, everything. And I was obviously getting really into dance. And she was like, you could dance for them one day. And I was like, they're an a cappella group.
Yeah.
They don't hire
Have
dancers.
dancers.
They've never had a dancer even once.
Yeah.
And she'd be like, you could do it one day. And I'd be like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
And then I remember the day that Scott Hoying DM'd us and he was like, I really like your videos. Do you want to like make a video together? And we were like, well, you were like, Scott Hoying DM'd us. And I was like, I was like, Scott Hoying. But now we're like best friends. But we just started like making videos together and hanging out. And one time we were watching a movie and I was like, I pitched some random idea about some sort of, I was like, you guys should do a music video or I don't know. And he was like, bah, that's so funny. You should come on tour with us. And I was like, bah, that's so funny. And then the next day, their manager called and they were like, we'd love to set up a meeting about you coming on tour. And we were like, oh,
you were
Wow.
you were being
serious
for
about
real.
that.
And then we went on tour with them.
Yeah.
And that friend came and was like,
I
told
told
you.
you.
but yeah, they've literally never brought dancers on tour ever. And we were the first ones. That was crazy and so fun.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun.
You've done so much. I want to talk about taking on a project like Waitress because that just seems like a beast of a thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
you have to. What are the steps to write a musical? Walk me through it.
Well, I don't know how to write a musical at all. I can't do that. Choreographing a musical is hard. It's so hard. It's the hardest thing we've ever done.
Especially when
Choreographing tour
you've
was easier.
Never done it before. There was multiple moments before we started. We were like, where do we start? Like, how do you
Yeah.
just start?
This is what I'm saying.
It's like a
It's
massive job that you have to start somehow, but it's like, where? Do you just go from the top and
Yeah, you do.
do it? But yeah, you kind of do.
You just do.
Start at the top.
Yeah.
The hardest thing is props, especially in Waitress. Waitress specifically,
Oh.
like every time you set a fork on a table,
It has
every
to
time
be.
somebody picks up a napkin, every time somebody busses a plate, every time somebody pours a cup of coffee, all choreography.
Oh my!
And you
gosh.
have to track where you left it. So if I have somebody go set down 2 forks on a table, I have to remember that because I have to clean it up later.
Because
so
at the end of that song,
the
the
scene's
director
gonna
is
happen.
going to have to go into the scene and potentially clean that stuff up.
It's just
and
the
do it in a
prop
way that makes
tracking
sense.
is a nightmare.
Yeah.
That's the
Is this
hardest
thing
part.
on Nightmare. What? Yeah, it's the hardest part. Props are hard.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's just like
man.
the mental math of like if I get 3 coffee cups out from behind the kitchenette. And I give those to each of the waitresses. And then they put one on that cart B, and they put one on banquette 2. And then they hand one to ensemble member number 4. And then ensemble member 4 tracks around. Where are they going to leave it? How am I going to pick up the other 2? Like doing the choreography and figuring out
Props.
like 100 props, real pies, real ingredients, whipped cream, how things are going to move. And like, I'm going to throw flour, and it is
timing
so
of things
hard.
with all that stuff too. Yeah, it's
very fun
crazy.
and rewarding, and seeing it come together is insane. I bawled my eyes out the first time they do this thing called a designer run where it's the first time you like see it all together happen. And I cried my eyes out at the designer run. I was like, I can't believe it exists, and we did it. It's very hard.
Okay, going deeper into this because I am so curious. Andrew and I, being athletes, we cannot work out together.
Oh, interesting.
No. Because our creative minds within the athletic world severely clash. And we're just like, no. So you guys get served this. You're newly married. And they're like, okay, I'm going to give you how many months? Days, weeks to do this?
Do what?
To choreograph
choreograph
this?
it?
To choreograph Waitress?
Yeah. How long were you
Oh.
given in advance?
We probably choreographed Waitress in like 2 weeks.
That's
Holy
ridiculous.
crap.
We
Yeah.
choreographed
Okay.
tour in 5 days.
We did choreograph that tour
Nothing
in
ever
5 days.
happens more than
So then my question
What?
is,
crazy.
how does that dynamic work when you have a perfectionist and 2 creative minds who are trying to bring to life an art that is very unique in it and on its own? How do you guys stay friends?
Yeah.
I think we're going to go to a short break.
No, a word from our sponsor. That's hilarious. Oh, anyway.
No, I think that is really where like we find our strengths. Like
yeah. We're good at very different things, which
Okay.
works for us.
Yeah. And like I can send her out to the studio for like a few hours.
He sends me out to the studio.
Get
Banish you, woman.
get to the studio.
Go to work.
No, she goes out for, 2 to 3 hours and just starts like getting
Noodling.
stuff out of there. Like getting stuff pen to paper basically and
Okay.
like just making stuff up. And then I'll kind of come out and be like, this all looks amazing. Here's how I think we can like put it into place and fit it. Like she kind of has the like
I'm the
brain
ideas
dump.
girl.
Yeah,
I'm the
like-
brain dump girl.
she's like, here's all the ideas I have. How can we, get them into this one song?
And he's like, okay, you can give that section to like, we can take this section and that'll work for these 3 people.
Let's split up the
Yeah.
the guys and girls over here and put them up here, split the rest of them up here, kind of.
I'm big picture. He's logistics.
Yeah. And that
And that's how it
that
works.
definitely helps, especially with something like Waitress, because you do have only a certain amount of ensemble members and you do have props that you have to use and move around and get to a certain place. And so, again, like she said, all that stuff has to be tracked at some point. And so that's kind of what I like to do and come in and figure out.
How many people on stage at one point, or what's the most amount of people on stage that you're choreographing?
For Waitress, it's like
How many do we have?
8 ensemble, 9, 10, 11.
3
like
waitresses.
16?
8 ensemble. Someone do math.
Let's
8
all
ensemble.
math together.
Yeah, this
3
is great.
waitresses.
11.
Every waitress has like a love interest.
So
That's
that's
14.
14.
And then there's Joe.
15.
15.
And then there's Joe.
But
And
each
then
one,
there's Joe.
each one of them is on stage and needs to have a role in something.
Not in every scene.
Okay.
Not every single second of the show. But sometimes.
Wow.
But there's a lot of we can go like so deep into this. There's a lot of moments where like, Jenna, the head waitress, kind of like goes into these like, dreamscapes. And so the things that she's like kind of like talking about to herself, there's still stuff happening behind her, and she's being handed things and she's handing off
And
things.
people are moving her.
Yeah,
and
and like those people are still like doing things and have to pay attention because they still have a role, even though it's like Jenna's moment.
that's what makes it so cool.
Yeah.
And that's why I love musical theater.
Will you do
crazy.
more
It's-
musicals after this?
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot
Do you
more.
guys have you guys found kind of a niche in doing commercials and tours and concerts, music videos? Have you found one that you love the most, or is it all just artistic direction that you enjoy?
Yeah, I love doing everything. I like keeping a variety.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get stir crazy doing one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I like having options.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What's your creative process? Because this is, I mean, we're all working on social media, and it's like it helps to seed some creative ideas, to like look at some, and then are you guys super disciplined with your creative process, or have you thought about it much? Or
like for social or for something like
let's talk
a
about
show?
Waitress, because I feel like that's the biggest creative thing.
Sure.
So it's like, do you lock yourself in a room with no phones, or
No, I think I kind of wait till it. I don't dig for the idea. I sort of wait till it finds me.
Do you
Like,
want
I
to talk
can't-
about your creative avoidance project?
Oh, I do have to do this thing where
I'm so excited.
it's not that. I mean, I just have a weird quirk where I'll procrastinate starting because it's like you know what I mean? It's such a daunting task to
Yeah.
do
To
something like a
start,
2-hour
like
show.
that start.
And I'm the ideas girl. So we wait for me. We wait for me to have an idea. And and take it in.
avoidance.
So I am always like, it'll be time to start. And I'll be like, you know what we should do? Wallpaper the entire house. Like I have to do something else. Like it'll be like the day to start and I'll be like, man, we should power wash the driveway or I'm going to
We
make
should
a
take this bookshelf off the side of the street, drag it
refinish
home, and finish it and paint it for our house.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks we have
We just
for this
did
musical. We have 2 weeks.
We went and pitched we actually just did a presentation of a new musical in New York, which is super exciting. And before we did that, I was like, what am I going to wear to this? And then I was like, I should make my own custom outfit. So I had to
And we
do
had
that.
to, when we had to prepare like 5 numbers to present, and I was like, this is the perfect time to do a custom blazer.
Do you
Yeah.
understand in the moment that like this is
Oh,
part
yeah.
of it?
Yeah,
So
it's
you're
part of it.
able to like
If I facilitate it and I like help her and like
Okay.
get her the things that she needs to
Because
like
it's going to
do it,
have to happen.
It'll
yeah.
We're going to have
it'll
to do
just
it.
happen faster and we can just get past it.
Oh, so you do all the wallpapering
Yep.
and the
Oh.
funny.
Oh, we do it.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
it gets
I have to
done.
do it. I have to.
The
Because in
back
your
deck,
mind, you're like, the sooner we get through this, then it
we
will
can
happen.
start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's like the starting line. That's
Yeah.
so funny.
Is it like cleaning clutter out of your mind?
I don't know. It's something I think about, like the pressure of the project
Yeah.
gets so weighty on me that I need to do a creative project that has no stakes first to like get the ball
Funny.
rolling. Like I have to do something that has no pressure attached to it that I can fail at. And sometimes it fails. Sometimes I try like art projects and they turn out terrible. But I have to do something with no stakes first.
And you have to do it on the day that your other project is supposed to start.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah.
Because the bookshelf that we
Yeah.
painted sky blue, put it in the house,
Yes.
Look terrible.
decorated it,
Yes.
looked horrible. So we trashed it the next day.
And
then
then
we
I
could start.
started.
wow.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you can count that as creative process.
Creative avoidance.
That's my creative avoidance.
avoidance.
Yeah.
I don't know about the process. I mean,
That feels like a consistent pattern.
that is a pattern, yes.
Yeah.
But
So
everything
that's part
else
of
is
the
sort of
process.
everything else is kind of free form. I don't have like
Justifying
a schedule.
the creative avoidance.
Yeah.
as
You're
part
gonna
of the
come home
process.
with like
Justify it for
you're gonna
me.
find something on the random on the side of the street. Be like, babe, what do you think about this?
I don't be like that's wrong. I have to
Yeah,
feel
then
it.
she'll say no. It's gotta
Start
be
coming
her.
home with arts and crafts.
Yeah.
No, yeah. You could start using it to just start putting things in front of me that need to get done. But
That's
I won't
true.
I won't like that.
Start doing it a week early.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's actually you could
wanna go to
could
the
sneak that
Goodwill?
in. Yeah.
This is
yeah.
good, guys. This is good.
But other than that, I just sort of try to come up with stuff.
That's it.
That's literally it.
You just start doing stuff.
I just start doing stuff.
Wow.
I think part of it is like sometimes when we know there's going to be like a dance break and we know that there's got to be just like a bulk of choreography that needs to get done. I feel like that sometimes helps us.
Like starting where you don't want to start in the thick of.
Like this cart needs to move there and this coffee pot needs
Yeah.
to move over there. Like
It's
you
easier
can't
to start with the
there.
5, 6, 7, 8s and
Yeah.
then get the stuff done later.
Mhm.
That especially for like we just did a music video and
That's what I
there
was
was like a
thinking.
big group section at the end. And so to start with the group section where it's literally just straight up
like full frontal choreography.
as opposed to being like, okay, we start on the porch and we need to get up and we need to go around the pole and we need to go down the stair. Like figuring out logistics is a hard starting place. Once you get the ball rolling, it's easier.
It's absolutely fascinating, I feel like, to both of us who are not in the art space. This whole world. I remember being on dancing and just sitting through like rehearsals with like Mark Ballas or Derek Huff and watching them just literally walk circles around a room. Like I can't even imagine how you pull from thin air any concept and make it to come to life. I don't get this.
It is a really wild job if you think about it too hard.
It's so cool though,
It is cool.
because you literally bring to life stories.
That's
Which
why I
is-
became so obsessed with it. Like,
Yeah.
you have this idea in your head, and it's just in your head. It doesn't exist anywhere else. And then you get to work on it for so long, and then you finally like see it, and it's like, that is so cool because you just came up with that, and then you put the work into it, and now it like is a thing that you can see and show people. That's so cool to me.
We have such a different perspective on that though, because I can so clearly see exactly what I want in my head to a T. I know exactly how it will look and what it should look like in my mind. And so it's often that when we see a final product that we've finally like gotten out, I'm like, it's almost always not what you envisioned in your head. Things change, things like morph. And so I have to almost like let it go because it's an amazing product. It's just not what I envisioned. And that's okay. And most of the time it's better, but I have to like let go of that. There's almost like I have to let go of the disappointment that it's not what I saw. And you don't visualize it like that. So when you see it, you're like, wow,
This is amazing.
amazing that it's come to life. And I'm like, yeah, and it's totally not what I thought it was going to be. But then I'll start loving it later. But you're always like super pumped about it right when it happens. And I'm always like, there are
It's
problems.
wrong.
It's wrong. But then we'll both come to a place where we're super happy with it. But it's funny. We both like arrive at different times.
For something like Waitress, are you guys involved with like the props and like the stage setup and costuming and everything like that?
Waitress Waitress, the Broadway version exists.
Okay.
And so when a
gotcha.
regional theater licenses it, it's like they can we're in a situation where they've licensed things like the script, the score, the set, and we're coming in
Wow.
and doing new blocking, new choreo, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
And doing
But it's not always
doing
like
it
that.
better.
Well, the original version is amazing. I actually, Waitress is one of my favorite
It's such a
shows.
good show. Yeah.
I'm so obsessed with the original. And so actually that made it very intimidating to go in and make a new version of it because I love the original version so much.
Yeah.
So we tried to keep a lot of integrity to the sort of movement style of the original, but also kind of bringing our voice into it.
Yeah.
But
It's funny you're talking about like the end vision that results, and even what you said about having to put so much thought into everything you post on social media. I don't resonate with that at all. Like I am like hey, let's get a first draft out as soon as possible. And then that way I can like see what we need to change. But like even with our videos, it's like, hey, let's just try this today and we'll see if people like it. If not, or
We
like
do that
I had
too.
fun.
Yeah, we sometimes
Okay.
do
for
that.
social
Yeah.
media, we don't think that hard.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't even
Good.
prep content. Everyone's like, how was your, people always want to know about the creative process of social. And they're like, how many videos do you like make in a day? And then you stalk them and like, what's your like posting schedule strategy? And we're like, that's
Slap it
hilarious.
up
We just film something and then immediately post it. No strategy. Zero strategy. Zero schedule. Nothing. And then that's that.
Do you all have like mentors or guidance, like for something like again Waitress, where it's this open, or like the pitch you just did? Is there like someone you bounce ideas off of, or say, hey, what are they looking like? Someone who's ahead of you in this space?
Kind of. With Waitress, I mean, we have Abby. She was on the
Original team.
the original team
For
for the Broadway
Broadway.
version.
Nice.
And so she's done.
And now
she's
she
been doing-
directs the regional versions
Yeah.
that we're doing.
And so, and she's the one that brought us on to do these, a couple of regional runs. And so it's really helpful to have her to be like, can we do this? Can we do
Yeah.
that? Like, what's safe? What's not? Because of the whole like licensing thing.
And
But
she was also a choreographer
prior to being
prior
a
to being a
director.
director. So she
Yeah.
understands the sort of language in the world and how it works. And so she's a great resource.
Yeah.
For both of you, it might be the same, it might be different. What forecasting? What's your dream project? Like end all? Are you wanting to become directors? Is there one thing, like, do you want to choreograph Broadway? Like, what would be like the I made it and I feel good with everything project for you guys?
That's such a hard question.
It is hard.
Well, answer what the purpose of life is after that, please.
Yeah.
I know,
As soon
literally.
as you,
Truly.
That one I can do.
Maybe not end all be all, but is there something out there where you're like, that scares me to death, but that would be so cool?
Doing Broadway definitely will check all of my boxes. I don't know if it's my end all be all, but it's definitely like on my career bingo card, we have like tour, music video, Broadway, like you have your different avenues. And so that is like my one missing avenue is Broadway.
Yeah.
And I really like doing theater. And so Broadway is probably our next goal. But
I'd say.
end all
yeah.
be all goal is just like continuing to make stuff that people smile at. Like I don't really feel
Yeah.
it like a job.
We've kind of
is
been
a
like
specific
creating
thing.
things like on our own, like our own ideas and concepts for a long time. But I think maybe in like a general aspect is to like do that on a bigger scale, whether it is like our own tour or our own show, our own Broadway show. Like, and I think our own, like just building something, excuse me, from the ground up. I think that is like definitely maybe not the end all be all, but it's definitely high up there, I'd say.
And just like providing opportunities for dancers and
Yeah.
that are different and interesting and things that we would have looked for when we were auditioning. And
That's a huge thing too.
yeah.
Yeah.
wow, that's really exciting. I mean, you guys really could make that. Yeah, move away from the stiletto concept.
That is
totally.
honestly my mantra. If I never
Move
put a
away
stiletto
from the
on again, I will have achieved my biggest goal.
Same.
Wow, that's great. I'm sorry, I'm really fascinated by your creative process because I have like this athlete background and what you guys do is so impressive. Do you find it helps to create like boundaries or constraints to a certain degree? I know you have some in the musical, but like, for instance, for us, when we have to do a video for a company and they're like, this is what we need. I used to resent that process because it was like, oh, you're putting me in a box and now we can't do it. But now it's actually really fun because it's like, oh, sweet. I have like a little playground that's defined now. Do you resonate with that at all or no?
Probably sometimes. I think that when we do things for like brands and stuff like that, I think sometimes they want like a very specific thing. And it's kind of, sometimes it's hard to kind of break out of that. But
It's all the same though. Like it's almost it feels like everything we do is very different in the sense that like a musical is very different than social media and social media is very different than tour and tour is very different than a music video. But at the root of it, it's somebody coming to you and saying, we need movement that tells this story.
Gotcha.
yeah.
And so we make movement that tells that story. It's like, is it Waitress? Is it a story about how a Swiffer mops my floor better than any other tool? Is it a story about how
Yeah.
Andy Grammer wrote this song? Is it a story about pentatonics and how they're changing Christmas? Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's everything is a story that
Gotcha.
needs movement.
Yeah.
And so we just make it.
Can you tell us the story of the game?
The story of the game came out of nowhere.
It did come out of nowhere.
We were actually workshopping. We work with this company called Invisible Narrative, and we were actually workshopping something completely different. And then one day we had a meeting, and I was literally just randomly like, what if we did a game?
We went on to that meeting like not knowing what the meeting was going to be about.
I
And
actually remember the conversation we had before that meeting because I was like, do you have any ideas? And you
I
were
was
like,
like,
no.
nope.
And you were like, do you have any ideas? And I was like, no.
Nope.
And I was like, what are we going to talk about? And
so
then
we
we
got
got
on the
on that
meeting.
meeting and I said, what if we did a game? And then I pitched them like just off the top of my head, like a loose structure for like a dance card game. And they were like, that's super interesting. And then they were like, let's call Jordan Weissman. And he ended up helping us kind of develop it. We pitched the game to him. And then they were like, we should make this. And so
Just
we
kept,
made
like,
it.
fine tuning it for about a year.
Yeah, it did
Wow.
take us about a year to make like the game, like the gameplay elements actually make sense.
Right.
But really, it's just our creative process, like in a card game,
Yeah.
because everyone's like, that looks so fun, and I'm like, it is so fun.
That's what we do.
So
every day.
I wanted to
It's
put
so
it in a
fun.
box and give it to somebody else so that they could have fun too.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because you said you didn't, before we started rolling, you said you didn't like having more than one thing going on at a
But
time.
you have a lot
It
of
feels
Oh,
like you have a
yes.
lot.
Yeah.
I guess I need like one show. I can't handle more shows.
Okay.
But like elements of life in projects, we have 17,000 things going on at once. Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for the rest of the day with you guys. It's a real
House
honor.
shopping.
Yeah. It's
Should
been
we
an
go after
honor
this?
to talk. And dude, if dancing, if you ever get tired of it, your voice for like commentating, I feel like
He has such a good voice,
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
Thank you.
You're actually a
everybody.
quadruple threat.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And I even before I started, I said I feel a little raspy this
He
morning.
was croaky this morning, and I was like, you're going to have to pull it together. And he did.
Wow. Well, this was a
Thank you.
blast. For those listening that have not seen Cost and Mayor, we'll link their stuff down below. But it's been a pleasure.
I want to ask you questions.
Oh wow. Oh shoot. Okay.
Should we do a reverse episode where we interview you?
Yeah.
We should do some dance videos, I feel like.
Okay.
We have the game code.
Oh yeah, we did set up a code if you want
Great.
to share it.
Yes.
For the game.
Why you been holding out?
Sorry, I
I
forgot.
just remembered.
If
I
I'm
think it's-
listening and I wanna play the game,
I
what's
think it's second.
We're gonna link it down below.
25.
wait, you guys made a special
Second cup
code.
25.
Second cup 25.
We made
Oh
a
my
code for you, for
gosh.
your listeners.
For-
If they want to get the game. Also, it's gonna
25%
be.
off. Yeah.
We love games.
It's so fun.
It's so fun.
Also, your kids would probably devour it. It's
Wow.
awesome. You like pick a song and then you pick a persona. It's literally what we do on our social media, but in game
It's like
form.
a flight attendant to Taylor Swift.
Oh my
And you have to like
gosh.
make a little dance.
And you have like
It's
2
so
minutes
fun.
to like make a little routine.
Selfishly, I
Yeah.
love it
Yeah.
so much.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. All right, you got a code.
Enjoy
Check it out. Link it. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
this was so fun.